Thanks for watching the area's #1 Sunday night news. Northwest News Channel 8, where the news comes first.
The war, up close. Northern Alliance fighters take more territory from the Taliban.
They're feeling the heat.
The president attends services at Ground Zero in New York City. And with American warriors now on the attack in Afghanistan, the nation pays its respects to U.S. veterans of all wars.
When the call comes to defend our country, our military is ready, and it's making us proud.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News, reported by John Siegenthaler.
Good evening, everyone. After more than 5 weeks of bombing, there are new signs tonight. The U.S. military campaign is taking its toll on the Taliban. The Northern Alliance took more territory from the Taliban today and prepared for a possible move on the capital city of Kabul, which drew words of caution from the U.S. not to move too fast. We begin our coverage with NBC's Nora O'Donnell at the Pentagon. Nora?
Good evening, John. Tonight, U.S.-backed opposition forces claim there is a domino effect across northern Afghanistan. The alliance has forced the Taliban out of all but 2 provinces, and even those are under siege. American B-52 bombers back at work today, pounding the Taliban front lines north of Kabul. Opposition forces watched and waited nearby, complaining of boredom and wanting to seize the capital despite U.S. concerns. But Northern Alliance leaders claim they will temper their military goals until a coalition government to replace the Taliban is ready to take over.
As far as going to Kabul or not going to Kabul is concerned, we prefer to have a broad political agreement before moving into Kabul. That's our strategy, and our strategy in that regard has not changed.
Emboldened after seizing Mazar-e-Sharif on Friday, the Northern Alliance has captured even more towns and is now poised to take the western city of Herat. U.S. warplanes are on the prowl to hunt down Taliban forces in retreat, as U.S. intelligence sources report a, quote, strained and difficult relationship between Mullah Omar, the head of the Taliban, and Osama bin Laden. The Secretary of Defense claims bin Laden has effectively seized control of power, causing dissension in his own ranks.
He has demonstrated, I think, that he's on the edge and is capable of making mistakes, and if he makes mistakes, we'll find him and we'll get him.
An urgent task due to concerns about bin Laden's efforts to acquire nuclear weapons.
It does not take a genius to understand that if they have them, or get them at some point in the future, that they will be perfectly willing to use them.
And tonight, NBC News has learned the Pentagon has determined the U.S. can use an air base in neighboring Tajikistan, making it easier to carry out bombing raids in Afghanistan to the south. John?
NBC's Nora O'Donnell at the Pentagon. Nora, thank you. Almost all of the heavy fighting is occurring beyond camera range, except for one place in northeast Afghanistan, just east of Talokan. That's where NBC's Jim Maceda is tonight.
Of the Northern Alliance on one ridge, the Taliban's best fighters on the other. In between, a no-man's land called Kala-Kata. Despite heavy U.S. bombing, the Taliban fought on and Northern Alliance casualties mounted. We had 40 injured and 10 killed in Saturday's tank battle, says this Northern Alliance commander, but the enemy lost even more. We will defeat them. All day today, the battle raged on, tanks advancing, then retreating, mortars and rockets pounding both sides, sometimes only 100 yards apart, too close for U.S. bombers to avoid friendly fire. The skies mostly quiet today. I don't understand, says this frustrated tank commander. We are fighting terrorism. We need help. Where are the bombers today? But by late afternoon, there was good news. Local radio reported Northern Alliance victories on other fronts, boosting morale. And reinforcements arrived, too. Hundreds of Russian tank shells and a dozen more Russian tanks ready for battle. By now, the Taliban knew it was surrounded but refused to surrender. More heavy fighting drove thousands of Afghans from neighboring villages. I think my house is still standing, says this man, but I'm too afraid to go back and find out. As Northern Alliance fighters prayed for victory on the battlefield, both sides seemed deadlocked. Until tonight, and the news that the Taliban had finally given up, that the front line had folded, which now puts even more of northern Afghanistan in Northern Alliance hands. Jim Masaid of NBC News, Khuja Bahudin, Afghanistan.
And a Western casualty to report tonight. A 34-year-old French woman, a reporter for a French radio station, was killed in northeastern Afghanistan. She was with Northern Alliance troops when they were ambushed by Taliban forces. In this country, a day to remember American veterans who have fought in past wars and those who are fighting today. As NBC's Campbell Brown reports, with the terror attacks having happened exactly 2 months ago, this Veterans Day took on special meaning.
With smoke still rising from the rubble where thousands remain buried, President Bush and UN Secretary General Kofi Annan led a solemn delegation to Ground Zero.
Brazil, Canada.
Actor Ron Silver read aloud the name of each country that lost citizens on September 11th, 86 in all. Each nation's flag placed at the site in remembrance of the victims by a military honor guard.
Poland, Portugal.
Today's ceremony underscored the president's message to world leaders at the UN General Assembly this weekend, that the world has suffered loss and that every nation must join the war against the terrorists. Earlier at a Veterans Day breakfast, the president pledged to fight however long it takes, calling veterans defenders of freedom and today's military ready for the challenge ahead.
Al-Qaeda and the Taliban have made a serious mistake. And because our military is brave and prepared and courageous, they will pay a serious price.
At Arlington National Cemetery today, Vice President Cheney placed the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns. In his remarks, Cheney said Americans have no illusions about the difficulties ahead as the war on terror continues, but that the nation will persevere.
This Veterans Day finds America resolute, united, and well-led.
Karl Rove, one of the president's key advisors, was in Los Angeles today to lobby Hollywood's top executives to help the White House sell the war, both at home and abroad, through public service announcements and other means.
Leaders of the industry have ideas about how they want to contribute to the war effort, and we certainly want to encourage that.
The White House is now engaged in a major communications effort overseas to counter the Taliban's anti-America message. And White House aides say in the weeks ahead, the president hopes to focus more attention on issues like the Taliban's oppression of women and ties to the drug trade. Campbell Brown, NBC News, New York.
More on Veterans Day now. The 11th day of the 11th month was originally called Armistice Day. It was established by Congress 75 years ago to commemorate the end of what they thought would be the only world war.
Today, just as Americans have every November since the end of the First World War, we pause to remember and honor the men and women who preserved and protected our nation. In each of America's struggles, heroes in uniform emerged to inspire and spur us on to victory. Our veterans' steadfast resolve to stand and fight for the American way of life is a constant reminder that the righteousness of our destiny overarches the anguish of our losses. America's veterans did not shrink from battle. They did not yield to fear. They did not abandon their cause. All too often, they paid the ultimate price. By their example of courage under fire, they raised up a new nation, inspired by the dignity of the common man, a nation blessed with heroes and heroes' dreams. In such examples are the lessons of liberty.
Anthony Principi, Secretary of Veteran Affairs, in his own words. More Veterans Day reflections a bit later in this broadcast, but coming up next, how the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is affecting the war on terror.
In 1935, Foxwood Farms started with one horse and a truck. The horse was a thoroughbred, the truck a Chevy Suburban. Today, they have a few more horses, but there's still only one truck, Chevy Suburban. With an available 8.1-liter Vortec engine, it's capable of towing up to 6 tons, making it the best Suburban yet. Chevy Suburban, like a rock.
What's as gentle as Senecot natural vegetable laxatives? With 100% natural Senna, Senecot tablets offer overnight relief from occasional constipation gently. Senecot works gently, works overnight.
What is possible? Does achievement discriminate? Or does it open its doors to everyone?
If you have osteoarthritis, you owe it to yourself to learn about Celebrex. Celebrex specifically targets only the COX-2 enzyme, a key source of arthritis pain. Celebrex relieves arthritis pain, plus inflammation and stiffness, too. Celebrex should not be taken if you've had aspirin-sensitive asthma or allergic reactions due to aspirin or other arthritis medicines, or certain drugs called sulfonamides. In rare cases, serious stomach problems, such as bleeding, can occur without warning. Tell your doctor if you have kidney or liver problems. Powerful 24-hour relief from osteoarthritis pain, inflammation, and stiffness. Ask your doctor about Celebrex, the #1 selling brand of prescription arthritis medicine.
It's today's Toy Test 2001 with fun and games for all ages. Get a jump on what your kids are going to want this year. A special series all this week on Today.
There was a second day of speeches today at the UN General Assembly in New York, a meeting that was delayed 2 months following the September 11th terrorist attacks. Today, though, the focus was on the Middle East, a hot spot long before the war on terrorism began. NBC's Andrea Mitchell has our report.
This was not the meeting Yasser Arafat and his supporters were hoping for. Arafat has already met twice before with Secretary of State Powell, but he's never met the president. And yesterday's UN lunch is as close as he'll get. U.S. officials say Arafat will not get an audience with George Bush until he does more to control violence against Israel. At the UN today, Arafat did not deliver what the U.S. wants, a specific pledge to control the terror groups on his turf. Instead, Arafat accused Israel of terrorism.
The current Israeli government continues the aggression against the Palestinian people, which was begun by the previous government. State terror is being practiced against the Palestinian people.
But Bush did make one concession to Arafat. He's the first Republican to refer to Palestine as a separate state.
We're working toward a day when two states, Israel and Palestine, live peacefully together within secure and recognized borders.
A deliberate signal, U.S. officials say, sent directly to the Arab world.
For this, we have to thank him from our hearts for what he had mentioned.
But Arafat and other Arab leaders still feel snubbed. They say Bush is not doing enough to resolve the Arab-Israeli crisis. The Secretary of State says it's too soon.
Let's start confidence-building activities moving forward. Let's get the trust rebuilt, and let's get back to negotiations. That is our vision.
But the Palestinian issue is now a battle cry for bin Laden as he tries to rally Arab and Muslim supporters, especially in Pakistan. Still, that country's embattled leader said today he is in control of his nuclear weapons and his army.
They were not pro-Taliban, they were all pro-me. Even now, I would very confidently say that they were with me. There's no doubt in my mind, these things don't happen in our army. Everyone follows the chief.
In fact, despite the tension over the Middle East, U.S. officials believe bin Laden has now made a major mistake, that his recent threats against the UN and moderate Arabs demonstrate he truly is a danger to the entire world. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, New York.
Pakistan's involvement in the alliance is crucial, and President Musharraf has some formidable legal tools at his disposal to control even peaceful dissent. One is a law that is centuries old, and as NBC's Mike Taibbi reports, it's being used selectively.
Yale-educated peace activist Asim Akhtar has a simple message that all violence is wrong, by terrorists or by armies. But when he and fellow demonstrators tried to spread that message last month, they were arrested.
We were held for about 6 hours. They said, well, you know, you violated the Section 144 and you are going to be booked.
Islamabad Police Superintendent Nasir Durrani ordered those arrests, and the law he says the demonstrators violated, Section 144, goes back more than a century to British colonial rule. It gives the authorities almost unlimited power for a renewable 2-month period in urgent cases of nuisance or apprehended danger.
Basically, for a situational crisis, for the situational problem.
Section 144 was invoked when the start of the U.S. campaign in Afghanistan triggered violent anti-American and anti-Musharraf protests in a number of Pakistani cities. Since then, a number of Islamic militants have been arrested, including Fazlur Rahman, whose bodyguard carried a weapon in violation of Section 144. But the roundup also snared hundreds of other largely invisible protesters, like Asim Akhtar, for speeches or writings deemed a threat to law and order. Now, mosques may use loudspeakers to summon the faithful to prayer, but not to protest. And everything from graffiti to hang gliding to processions of 5 or more people is technically banned.
So that's why Islamabad has been very peaceful for the last 1 month.
But on Tuesday, Akhtar and hundreds of other quite orderly peace activists took to the streets, and no one was arrested. A former prosecutor who's brought a number of Section 144 cases told me that's right. Right now, the law is being applied selectively for public relations reasons. To show the government is in control, the prosecutor said, or to permit some protests to show the people are allowed to vent, to a point.
It's a military government. They're not democratic, right? So they're not answerable. They're not accountable to the people.
On this day, Akhtar and his friends got a pass. The next time, they might not. Mike Taibbi, NBC News, Islamabad.
It's been getting less attention with each passing year, but with America at war, this Veterans Day was noteworthy. Here's part of a ceremony today sponsored by the Vietnam Women's Memorial Project called Vietnam in Their Own Words.
Soldiers were trained and expected to kill the enemy. We were trained and expected to save anyone who came through the hospital doors, which often included the enemy. They lived with the guilt of killing, and we with the guilt of surviving. They lived surrounded by blood and death, in which they had a direct stake. But we faced a daily onslaught of maimed and dying men, women, and children dropped on us by helicopter from an alien world.
Author and veteran Susan O'Neill. When we continue, more controversy for the American Red Cross.
How can you provide for the future of the people who depend on you? With the power of Pacific Life. For over 130 years, Pacific Life has improved the lives of millions with investments, annuities, and insurance. Because careful planning today can help them reach their dreams tomorrow. Discover the power of Pacific Life.
It's LensCrafters' best $99 offer ever. Right now, get a complete pair of glasses with DuraLens, our most scratch-resistant plastic lens for only $99. The $99 DuraLens event. This is one you don't want to miss. Offer ends November 24th.
I ate Quaker oatmeal for 30 days. They tell me it actually works to remove cholesterol from your body. Pulls it right out. Helped clip my cholesterol 15 points. That's a whole bunch. Quaker oatmeal warms you heart and soul.
Imagine combining the stain-fighting power of Efferdent and freshening power of Listerine. You'd get Efferdent Plus. It's extra fresh, and nothing gets your dentures cleaner. Efferdent Clean, Listerine Fresh. That's Efferdent Plus.
Why do I eat?
New Healthy Choice Creamy Tomato Soup. Why?
Because it has delicious, rich, sun-ripened tomatoes.
Why else do I eat Healthy Choice Soup? That's why.
What's the question?
Hi.
Hi. Hey, what's with the makeup?
You've got a date. It's not a date, it's just a group thing.
Yeah, what time's this group thing over with?
10:30.
Whoa, try again.
All right, 10 o'clock.
And don't forget what we talked about, no?
Drinking and no smoking.
Right. No kissing.
Here, I have to go. Bye, Daddy.
Bye.
Talk to your kids about not smoking.
Hey, you want a cigarette?
No.
They'll listen.
My hair in color.
Monday, you gave over $1 billion to help families of those who died on September 11th. But where is the money really going? NBC Nightly News, Monday.
When it comes to food, a lot of places have silly ideas to bring you in. But once you get to the taste, where's the fresh? Hey, Clucky, want something made fresh? Uh-huh. Come on. Try one of the new Subway Selects made on fresh-baked gourmet bread. Susie?
Right, Jim. Subway's got 4 new Subway Selects, like the delicious horseradish steak and cheese, all on fresh-baked gourmet bread and all made fresh right in front of you.
Whoa, check out that check. Just kidding.
Kelsey Grammer and the cast of Frasier. Next, Oprah.
It is the nation's largest blood supplier and has been highly regarded for decades. But tonight, there are reports the American Red Cross made some alarming mistakes in the way it dealt with the September 11th crisis. Here's NBC's Joe John.
In the immediate aftermath of the terror attacks, the donor spirit swept America. In the next month, the Red Cross collected about 1/3 more blood than usual, about 700,000 units, as opposed to the customary 525,000, and much of it was unneeded. Now, with no way to freeze the surplus, the Red Cross says after removing plasma and other life-giving byproducts, about 7 or 8% of the leftover units of red blood cells may need to be destroyed because they will outlive their shelf life. The organization has been under heavy political fire for weeks, but has repeatedly defended the decision to collect more blood than it could use or save. The organization's president at a congressional hearing last week.
From the very first attack, blood preparedness loomed large. Sadly, because of the high mortality, significant blood needs did not materialize.
The terror attacks prompted an unprecedented level of charitable giving, more than $1.2 billion so far. Of that, nearly half, $564 million, pledged to a so-called Liberty Fund, advertised by the Red Cross in the days and weeks after September 11th. Of that $564 million, the Red Cross anticipates spending about $320 million on disaster-related responses, which leaves about $244 million, which some have proposed could be, quote, reprogrammed, used for other purposes. That idea set off alarm bells at last week's hearing.
What's at issue here is that a special fund was established for these families. And at the same time, we hear from families here that their needs are not being addressed.
When people were writing their checks for $100, $200, or $10,000 and sending them in response to the PSAs that the Red Cross was running, they believed victims were going to get that money.
Controversy over the Liberty Fund has taken its toll. Last month, the Red Cross president announced her resignation. Other charitable organizations are watching carefully and hoping to avoid the unanticipated problems of extreme generosity. Joe Johns, NBC News, Washington.
A Veterans Day salute now to the rarest of veterans, a soldier who served during World War I. A community just outside Sacramento today honored Sergeant Carl Kobrock, who is now 107 years old.
I enjoy it very much. It's the first time I've ever had anything like this.
Every generation has its heroes. Carl has lived through 3 centuries, the 1900s, the 20th century, and now the 21st century. And I'm honored to be his driver, his escort.
The Accord V6 from Honda, designed to give the driver total control. At least that was the original idea.
The more you live, the more a bladder control issue shouldn't hold you back. New Serenity Slender gives you 3 layers of protection. The core of super absorbers keeps you drier. New Serenity Slender. More protection, less bad. Now that's more you.
If your pencils look like mine did, there's something you can do. Ask your doctor if the Nicotrol inhaler is right for you. Or for more information, call 1-800-INHALER. Call today.
It's LensCrafters' best $99 offer ever. Right now, get a complete pair of glasses with DuraLens, our most scratch-resistant plastic lens for only $99. The $99 DuraLens event. This is one you don't want to miss. Offer ends November 24th.
I'm every man.
And every woman who ever suffered from frequent, persistent heartburn.
If you've treated your heartburn and changed your diet, but it comes back 2 or more days a week, then you may know about the burning pain of acid reflux disease.
But there's something about acid reflux that I didn't know.
Over time, that acid churning up can wear away the lining of your esophagus.
I didn't know.
I didn't know. I didn't.
But today, there's a purple pill called Nexium. It's from the makers of Prilosec. Just 1 prescription Nexium a day gives many people complete resolution of heartburn symptoms.
That could mean complete heartburn relief.
And importantly, Nexium is also proven to heal erosions in the esophagus caused by acid reflux. Only a doctor can determine if you have this damage. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. The most common side effects of Nexium and Prilosec are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. So talk to your doctor and call this number for more information and for a free trial certificate for Nexium.
Relieve the heartburn, heal the damage. It's possible with today's purple pill called Nexium.
A magical NBC Sunday. Take the Hogwarts Express to Harry Potter's world.
Harry Potter.
An exclusive sneak peek at the movie everyone's waiting to see.
And action.
So go where no Muggle has gone before and meet Harry himself. A Katie Couric special, Harry Potter Behind the Magic, tonight 7/6 Central on NBC.
How prepared is our government to protect us from smallpox? An MSNBC Explorer special report. Tonight at 8 on MSNBC.
Witness to an exorcism. Dateline Tuesday on NBC.
Finally this evening, the story of a journey symbolically completed as an attempt at healing. A team of 5,000 runners carried an American flag from Boston to L.A. The relay began on October 11th. NBC's Shelley Smith was at the finish line today.
USA! USA! Through the light rain and mist in Southern California, a cross-country journey for an American flag and American runners came to an end this afternoon.
I started out in Moriarty, New Mexico, and ran on and off through there, and I got hooked. I couldn't stop.
For the runners, such as John Conant, a National Guard reservist, it was their way of saying, I care.
The lives that were lost weren't totally in vain, that the whole country is behind them and feels for them, and the support and the togetherness.
Beginning in Boston, the flag's journey day and night covered more than 20 states and over 3,800 miles. This all-volunteer event was organized by the employees of American and United Airlines. It's meant to honor the victims and raise some money for the survivors. It also provided a chance for Americans, most far removed from the attacks, to show their patriotism.
Here in Mississippi, I didn't really know what I could do, and when they talked about it on the Today Show and I thought they were getting runners, I signed on.
At Los Angeles International Airport, the intended destination of 3 of the hijacked planes, there was this emotional display of the flag. And at Dockweiler State Park, the final stop of the flag run, friends and family members of the air crews gathered. Deborah Burlingame's brother Charles was the pilot of American Flight 77.
It's really completing his trip for him. It's bringing his plane home.
The flag's journey, helping the country to remember and to heal. Shelley Smith, NBC News, Los Angeles.
That is NBC Nightly News for this Sunday. Now here's Katie Couric with a preview of her special tonight at 7 Eastern Time, Harry Potter Behind the Magic.
Thanks, John. The book has sold over 100 million copies, and now Harry Potter the movie is set to open in theaters across America. The question is, will it live up to the hype? I went to the set of Harry Potter in London and met the actors and the director. Will people be surprised by anything in the movie that they didn't see in the book?
There is one little element of the film that Joe Rowling wrote a little piece for us that we're using in the film. That is a little surprise that has not been in any of the books. And she wrote it specifically for the film. And I can't tell anyone what it is.
You can't give me a hint?
I can't tell you anything. It's a key, I can tell you one thing, it's a key to Harry's past.
Tonight, more of my exclusive sneak preview into the world of Harry Potter, coming up next on NBC. John?
Thanks, Katie. Tom Brokaw will be here tomorrow night. I'm John Siegenthaler in New York. I'll see you next weekend, if not before.